This story takes place 27 years after the First Corporate War. The Nest by Sean Carrière. Chapter 9. Down the hill from Martha's Corner were the remains of an 8-lane freeway. Nearly 3 decades of neglect had left the once smooth pavement cracked and littered with gaping potholes. Tall grass and shrubs closed in from both sides of the former freeway as Mother Nature slowly reclaimed her lost turf. Once Laura's truck and bench presses been pulled onto the ancient asphalt, Kyle gave the okay to make good time. After all, the quicker they reached Danny Blue, the quicker they could grab him and get their asses back out of the C-zone. Laura put a little more pressure down on the accelerator pedal, soon bringing the heavy vehicle up to a cruising speed of just over 140 kilometers per hour. Laura would have loved to go faster, but she didn't want to make it hard for bench press to keep up. Meanwhile, in the back of the passenger cab, Slick opened the rear hatch and climbed out through it and into the truck's open bed. Slick then faced forward, rested his sniper rifle onto the roof of the truck's cab, and scanned far down the road. Soon, the team crossed an invisible line and were now officially within the C-zone. This came with the expectedly tense silence. Everyone on the team knew they were placing their health and safety in the hands of whoever made their suits and the accuracy of the satellite radiation maps. Any thoughts anybody may have had about turning back were brushed aside since they'd already come this far. Kyle felt calm as he focused on the mission at hand. This was his gift, the Zen-like ability to shut off his emotions and get his head right when it was time to do the job. This had gotten the young bounty hunter through a lot of tight spots. After another few minutes, Kyle would climb out into the truck's open bed and take over point man duty from Slick. This would allow the sniper to get back inside the shielded cab. Until they'd reached the source of Danny Blue's sat phone calls, Kyle and Slick would switch every 15 minutes. So far, the path ahead was clear and there was no sign of anybody alive that is. Other than having to slow down to go around the odd abandoned vehicle, the remains of the freeway were a roadhog's wet dream. A dozen kilometers down a ways was an exit to the industrial park attached to the ghost city Danny Blue was supposed to be. Spotting their desired exit through the scope of Slick's sniper rifle, Kyle called it out. Laura gradually decelerated before reaching the exit lane leading down into the ghost city. Bench Press's van followed from 40 meters behind. As the two vehicles motored away from the off-ramp and onto surface streets, the team found themselves traveling through a former industrial park. There were no sidewalks and the wide, multi-lane streets on this end of town were lined with warehouses, small manufacturing plants, and fenced-off lots. The intersections were extra wide with gently curved corners to accommodate 18-wheelers. Industrial neighborhoods don't usually have a lot of traffic, but the wide roads here were especially empty. This may have been due to the cobalt bomb that created the C-zone having been detonated in the middle of the night. This left a perfectly preserved urban landscape with little clutter to get in the team's way. This made Laura's day as nothing worked her nerves more than traffic jams and roadway obstacles. The wheel woman felt guilty for thinking it, but she was glad the big dirty bang didn't happen during rush hour. If that had been the case, every street would be nearly impassable.
Okay. The coast is clear,
Kyle said as he stared at the image from the digital scope projected onto his helmet's head-up display. The young bounty hunter could see over a dozen blocks worth of barren roadway ahead.
Let's pick up the pace.
Bench Press sat behind the wheel of his van, maintaining a safe distance behind Laura's truck. From the passenger seat, Sam watched the dash-mounted flat-screen monitor like it was the lottery numbers. Of course, the flat screen was tuned to the weather network, and Sam was paying especially close attention to a rainstorm set to begin later that afternoon, a few clicks west of Danny Blue's position. Inside the C-zone, rain tended to carry a lot of rads, and it really didn't matter if one was inside a low-radiation alley or not. Sam debated with himself if it was worth informing Kyle about. If everything went according to plan, the team would already have snatched Danny Blue and would be heading back out of the C-zone long before the rain was set to fall. Also, the rain would be falling at least 5 clicks west of the target and not affect the winds.
No need to worry the boss over this shit.
Sam reasoned to himself before he went back to watching the wind patterns and rechecking the satellite radiation map to confirm their alley was still open.